section 3.2, quadratic equations, functions, zeros, and models. I wait to do the modeling problem on the next set of notes. All right, so here we have a definition of our quadratic equation. It's a squared plus b squared, or ax squared. Oof. Sometimes you just have things in your brain, you pull up the wrong file. You have ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. Where a, b, and c are all real numbers. What does that mean? That means it's like 5 or 24 or 1. Notice if there's nothing in front of it, it's a 1. Okay. So the easiest way, I'm going to say it's the simplest way to solve quadratic equations, is either the zero product property, which is that a times b equals to 0, means a equals 0, or b equals 0. Notice that a times b equals to c does not translate into that a equals c or b equals c. Okay, it has to be a 0. Every now and then students will try to factor while this is not 0, and then it just falls apart. Just absolutely falls apart. So make sure this is a 0. So when we solve by factoring, we're using the zero product property. For a simple quadratic equation, x squared is equal to c is equal to x square root of c, or x minus the square root of c. Usually we just say x is equal to plus or minus square root c. So we use this plus minus symbol. Hopefully you've seen that a couple times by now. If not, it means plus and or minus. In math, the or means one, the other, or both. There's a really bad joke. A mathematician walks up to an ice cream stand and they say, we want chocolate or vanilla? And they say yes, and grab both and walk away, right? Because that's what it means in math. Or can mean both. Okay. So here are the plus minus. You'll see this one very, very rarely. You'll see the minus plus symbol. You only see a minus plus symbol if you see the plus minus symbol. That means if this was positive, make this negative. You'll see that in like 127. Laughing emoji. Yeah, I have a lot of really bad math jokes. We won't even get into them. They're just bad. Oh, man. So, all right, so let's solve the following equations. So here, for this one, we're going to be using the zero product rule, right? So I have a, so this is my a, and this is my b, and that's equal to 0. So that means either 3x plus 3 is equal to 0, or x plus 2 is equal to 0. And where this product comes from, if one of these is 0, 0 times anything else will be 0. So as long as either this is 0 or this is 0, this equation is true, because they'll both be 0. Because anything times 0 is 0 except for infinity, but you don't deal with that until calculus. So here we're going to go ahead and just move the 3 over, so I get minus 3. Divide by 3, I get negative 1. Here, we'll just go ahead and move the 2 over, and then we're done. And so x here is either minus 1 or, and here we just usually list the possible answers for x. Instead of saying or, we usually don't write x1 is equal to negative 1 or x equals negative 2. We usually just do it kind of in a list format, x equals minus 1 comma minus 2. All right, here, let's go ahead and do c next. So c, I need to move this over to x plus 5 minus 24 equals 0. So now I have it equal to 0. But this doesn't look like a and b. It's a quadratic, so I want to factor it. To remember to factor a quadratic equation, you're going to write down all the factors of the first one. And by factors, I mean two numbers which multiply to get me to this. And so I'll have 1 and 24, negative 1 and 24, 2 and 12, minus 2 and 12. I'll have 3 and 8, or minus 8, sorry, minus 3 and 8, and then 4 and 6, minus 6 and minus 4 and 6. Yeah, I think that's all of them. So notice since it's negative here, I'm going to have both the negatives. If it's positive, you'll have positive, and then you'll have negative. So if this was positive 24, this would been 1 and 24, and negative 1 and minus 24. So you always have both. Oops, I forgot the negative 12 here. Thank you. And so, but if it's negative, one's negative and the other one's not. So you'll actually have it all listed out twice. Then, so here, I want to figure out what are the factors of minus 24. And so these are all my factors. Then I want to figure out which two add up to be 5. So we go through this list, we see that this adds up to be 5, and so that's what it factors into. So it'll be x plus 8, x minus, oops, I had 5 in my brain, minus 3, equal to 0. By the use of, this 5? This is, so here we're going to take the factors of c that add up to be b. Okay, that's why. And here, if we can just check this real quick, x times x is x squared. This will give me minus 3x plus 8x. Minus 3x plus 8x gives me 5x. And then negative 3 times 8 gives me negative 24, which is what we want. Okay? And so that's why we do exactly what we do. These two numbers have to multiply to each other to equal this. So we take this number, find all the multiples. But these two numbers, if this x is clean, right? And this only works if x is, if my front digit is a 1. I do not think we force you to factor anything that's not a 1. I've seen it done 1,000 different ways. If it's not a 1, I've seen this weird X where people put factors over here, put factors over here, put stuff up here, and put stuff down here. I've never seen that, right? I've never learned that. But I see people do it on their exam all the time when we did paper exams back in the day. I've always just used guess and check. I should probably learn what you guys are learning. Since the way you've learned math is not how I've learned math, and we're not that different in age compared to other people. My teacher last year, I didn't like it. Yeah, there's like this big X method where you write the factors and you put numbers on one side. And I don't know. I've always just done it this way. I should learn the big X method. I just haven't. I'm not going to lie to you. Life throws enough fun at me. I just don't want to do extra work. All right, so this either this is 0 or this is 0. So if this is 0, it'll be 8, negative 8. Remember, let me actually not skip that step. Let me skip the step and then not skip the step. So this is minus 8 and this is positive 3. So if you go from here to here, fine. If you need to do the intermediate step, also fine, right? Either this was 0 or x minus 3 was 0. That means either 8 equaled, so that means x equaled minus 8, and this means x equaled positive 3. If you can skip this step, because you've done it enough times, that's fine. If you still need to write it out, that's fine too. And so here we get our two answers. All right, for these other two, we're going to use the simple quadratic equation. And so x squared is equal to plus or minus x c. So here x is equal to plus or minus the square root of 7. Technically, we're done. That's the end of that problem. We are done at that point. Here, if I have x minus 3, I can treat all of this as some variable u, right? And this will be u squared equal to 3. And that means u equals plus or minus 3, square root of 3. And then I can write in what u was, which is x minus 3 plus or minus the square root of 3. Or I can have x equal, and then I move the negative 3 over, so I get 3 plus or minus square root of 3. Do you need to do this u substitution? No, right? Where I say u equals x minus 3. No, wait, it's u squared is equal to 3 and do this. Do you have to do the substitution? Absolutely not, right? If you just say x minus 3 squared is equal to, if I take the square root of both sides, this is plus or minus the square root of 3 and go from here, it's a two-step, okay? All right, so let's go to the next page. Let me actually leave that up for 1 second so you can copy it down. Is that an A or a U? Here? These are U's. Okay. All right, this is U squared equal to 3. There we go. All right, so let me let you copy that down. I'll grab a quick drink, and we'll go to the next one. My cup was super loud for some reason. All right, let's do this one. All right, completing the square. All right, so this, let me come back to this. We're going to do quadratic formula first, and then I'm going to end on completing the square. And I may give you an extra example on this. I find that, I find completing the square is the least taught up to you, or the least covered. And some people just flat skip it. So this may be all new for you. This may be not so new for you. So let's do that last. So given any quadratic equation, G, did I forget something here? Yeah, there should be an A here, shouldn't there? Given ax squared plus bx plus c equal to, or a does not equal to 0, you can find the following. Notice the square root equation tells you the number of solutions you have, right? So this is called a discriminant. So this is called a discriminant right here. That's the discriminant. It's in the notes. Tells you number of solutions you have. I didn't type up that, but I'll show you the PowerPoint for 1 second to go over it at the end of class. So let's do this. So let's solve the following with the quadratic equation. So here I just type in, I just literally just crunch the equation. So it's minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. I hear from the grapevine, our school district has been teaching this, like helping you memorize it by singing it to like the Pop Goes the Weasel tune. If any of you learn this formula to the Pop Goes the Weasel tune, I'm just curious, guys. I learned that. Yes. Okay. Apparently they're still doing it that way. Nope. Someone was like, nope, that was like 8th grade. Wait, what? Yeah, so apparently I won't sing it for you. If I had enough people sing it to you, I could almost maybe do it at this point. Serenade us. Oh, please sing it. I think I don't know if I can put it together. I learned the best to music because I think it goes facts. I think it goes. Oh, see if I can do that. I don't remember the words because it goes. I think it goes negative b plus or no, I can't sing it. I just remember it goes all over 2a. That's all I remember, guys. So, I'm sorry. It just.
I know how it goes.
Ooh. That's all I remember too. But anyways, it's good. Out of all the formulas to memorize in math, the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, and the quadratic formula. Is someone who knows it, unmute and sing? Yeah, if someone wants to sing for it, go for it. By all means, go for it. Anyone want to do it? I'll make sure to crop it out of the videos. That way you're not forever a star on YouTube. Here, I'll cheat. Here, I'll cheat for you guys. It'll give me extra work later, but I'll cheat. Oh my goodness. Someone has a guitar. Here it is. I'll make sure to crop it out. All right, let me reshare real quick. Stop. Screen share. This with sound. Here we go. I think this is
The quadratic formula is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a.
Yep, that's it. There. You guys feel fulfilled in life now? It's the fact that they weren't even sing for me. All right, so let's get back to the math. I'm talking about crazy. All right, am I showing? Hold on, it's not the right screen. Nope. Here we go. All right, so let's get back to the math. All right, so here we're just going to type in this in the formula. So this one you just literally crunch through. So here my b is -5, so -5 times -5 is +5. Oh, well, that's what I wanted. That's fine. So this is +5. We plus or minus the square root of 5 squared, which is 25. Let me just leave it as 5 squared for now. 5 squared minus 4 minus a, which is 2, minus c, which is 1, all over 2 times 2. We simplify this. We'll have 5 plus or minus. This is 25 minus 8 all over 4. So this is 5 plus or minus square root of 17 over 4. Doesn't really simplify more than that. That song will haunt me for weeks now. And the same thing here. So here, if I was going to plug this in, my b here is 12, so it'd be minus 12 plus or minus the square root of 12 squared minus 4 minus a, which in this case is 4, c, which in this case is 9, all over 2 times 4. And so here we have x equal to minus 12 plus or minus 144 minus 144 all over 8. So that's minus 12 plus or minus square root of 0 over 8, which is just equal minus 12 over 8, which I can simplify to being, I can pull out a 4. So this would be minus 3 over 2. Okay. And so let me show you something from the PowerPoint. Here it is. I mean, I could teach you math through PowerPoint. Wouldn't that be fun? Just say, hi class, welcome to quadratic functions and equality. Today we'll be going over 3.2 and 3. I'm pretty sure all of you would die of boredom and I'd be charged with manslaughter. I'm pretty sure that's what would happen. But there is something I didn't type in my notes I did want to show you. Completing the square. So here's the quadratic formula. One thing, so on the discriminant, I've done this for you. I just didn't spell it out for you. That was all of high school. So people in high school really, who teaches math via PowerPoint? I want to round these people up and bang them on the head. No. You'd be amazed. Oh, I know there's people in our department who do it. I won't say anything. And since I have to crop this out anyway, since I'm showing the PowerPoint, I'm not worried about it showing up on YouTube. I think it's insane. I think it's insane. I will state that as facts. All right. So one thing I didn't, I wrote, notice the discriminant tells you the number of solutions you have. So here, our discriminant is positive, right? It was 17, right? So the discriminant just puts under the square root. Here it's positive, so we have 17. So we have two real answers here. This gives us two answers. In our previous home notes, notice here our discriminant was negative. We had -4. And in that case, we had two different imaginary answers, and they were complex conjugates of each other, right? Notice here that one's 2 plus I, the other one's 2 minus I, and so they're conjugates of each other. And then I did this last one on purpose, right here on purpose to be 0. If I have square root of 0, I only get one solution. Technically, you have that same solution twice in terms of what we say in math, that we have the same solution twice. But you can just say it's one solution. So if it's 0, it's one solution. If it's greater than 0, it's two real solutions. If it's less than 0, it's an imaginary solution. Okay. So what's under this discriminant right here tells you the number of solutions you have. And I just thought the PowerPoint did it nicely when I was flipping through, just reviewing. Now the rest of it, we'll skip, right? we're not doing math via PowerPoint. I didn't do this with you. I'll do this in the extra notes. Technically, you can solve this by just factoring. You just treat x squared. You substitute u for x squared, and then you get this, and then you can do this, and then you put back in the x squared and solve it. We'll do two of these together. That way you've seen it and can do it. Okay? All right. All right, I'm learning finally. I should just record just accidentally just troll you guys, and just when I put up the videos and just monotonely go through and read the thing word for word, right? Kind of like something more monotone than like Ben Stein, if you remember who that is. All right, guys. Let's do completing the square, and then we'll call it a day, and then I'll start office hours. So completing square. I'll do more of this. I'll definitely type up more of these for our practice. I will do some more quadratic formulas with negative discriminants for our practice. And I'll probably think of one or two other things to do for our practice this week. Okay? All right, so here, to complete the square root. So the steps to do this, are the following. Your book gives you a list of steps. I don't love the book's list of steps, but I'll just tell them to you. No, I don't. I love them so not enough. I'm not even going to tell them to you. So this is the way I do it. I'll show you how I do it twice, and then we'll do it. Then I'll have you guys try a couple in the practice. So what I like to do is I like to first move over. So the first thing I do, and just put 1 as like the first step I do is I split. I get it to look like this. Then the second step is once I do this, my second step is to find out what is b over 2. My second step is what is b over 2. So let me actually do this in order. So b over 2. So b in this case is -8. So b over 2 is -8 over 2, which is equal to just -4. So b over 2 is -4. So that's step 2. Step 3 will be to take my original equation here and then add, so b over 2. And then I also want to find out what b over 2 squared is. So if b over 2 is negative 4 squared is 16. All right, so step 3 is I'm going to add 16 to both sides. Add 16 here, add 16 here. Step 4, so now that I've added this, now I have x plus bx plus b over 2 squared. That's equal to x plus b over 2 squared. So this is x plus, and here it's a negative 4, so I'll just write minus 4 squared equaled, and then here we can simplify this to be 3. All right, so let me review what I did very slowly in these steps so I haven't lost you. I may have lost you, but if I have, let me see if I can catch you on the second round of going through this. In order to complete the square of a plus, or x squared plus bx, we want to add b squared over, or b divided by 2 squared. And once we've added that, we can complete the square, and then we can go back to solving it via this method, right? This method right here in D. So the first thing I do is move the 13 over, because I want to have it nice and clean on this side to complete my square. And I leave space. I leave the space, right? And actually, when I show you, and I'll do this one more time at normal speed, I'll show you why I leave the space. Then I'm going to figure out what b over 2 is. So I just take whatever b is and divide it by 2, and I get a number. I want this number because I'm going to put this number right here, and I'm also going to square that number because I'm going to add that to both sides. So I find out what the square of that number is. So negative 4 squared is 16. I'm going to add it in my slot. So technically I should add it here and here, but I'm just writing it as an extra step, just not to confuse anyone. So I took this and added 16 here and added 16 here, because what you add to one side, you must add to another. Then I take this and I use this formula here to rewrite it as this. So here I have a plus b, x plus b over 2 quantity squared. Well, that's just a plus b over 2, or x plus b over 2 squared. So here, b over 2 is 4. And notice if I multiply this, I'll get x times x, which gives me x squared. I'll get minus 4x and another minus 4x, which gives minus 8x, and negative 4 times negative 4 gives us positive 16. So this squared indeed is this. It's a quick way to check. Then we're going to use our rules from before, and we're going to write x minus 4 is equal to plus or minus square root of 3. And then the sixth step is just to move everything over. So I'll get x equals to move the 4 over, so it'll be 4 plus or minus square root of 3. Okay, and so that's the solution to this one. So I'm going to do it one more time, but I'm going to do it a little bit more as you would do it naturally. So my first step is still the same. Oh, let me do, for this one, I'm going to do a step 0. So step 0 is, notice that I have a 3 here. This divides by 3, this divides by 3, this divides by 3, and this divides by 3. So my step 0 is I'm going to multiply the whole thing by a third, right? A 3x squared minus 12x plus 6, and then 0. And I'm also going to multiply both sides by a third. Notice that this just becomes x squared. This becomes minus 4x. This becomes plus 2, and this becomes 0. Okay? So if you have the same factor, you can simplify it to this. So solving this is the same as solving this. All right, so let's go through the steps now. Step 1 is move everything so it's nice and clean. So I'm going to move over the minus 2. Step 2, figure out what b divided by 2 is. Well, b divided by 2 is minus 4. Minus 4 divided by 2, so it's just minus 2. Step 3 is to add negative 2. Negative 2 squared is 4, so I'm going to add 4 to both sides. Step 4, now I have this. I can simplify this to x minus 2, or x minus b divided by 2, or x plus b divided by 2. So let it be x plus a negative 2, so that's just x minus 2, equals to squared, and then just simplify this. So it's negative 2 plus 4, so that gives us 2. Step 5, take the square root, so it'll be x minus 2 equals plus or minus square root of 2. Step 6, get x by itself, so it'll be 2 plus or minus 2. Okay. Notice that solving it this, so Notice either of these I could just solve with the quadratic equation. So like, why would I ever complete the square, right? This is just, you just crunch through this and it's going to give me the same answers, right? Well, the reason I'm teaching you to complete the square is that way when we translate it to graphing, I can graph this. And I'll teach you how to graph this. In fact, you can graph this quite easily. And I'll show you how to do that. So this is a necessary, it's cumbersome to solve something with, but it's necessary for graphing for the next section. So that's why I'm teaching you now. And it's also what the book does.